The massacre at New Eden, the twin suns of the Kepler 442 system, cast golden light across the sprawling agricultural domes of New Eden. Children played in the hydroponic gardens, while their parents tended to the vast wheat fields that fed three neighboring systems. Colony Administrator Sarah Chen stood on the observation deck of the Central Command Tower, watching the daily rhythm of life unfold below. 2.3 million souls called this place home, the jewel of humanity's expansion into the outer rim. Sarah's peaceful moment shattered when her communication console erupted in urgent beeps. The holographic display materialized, showing the angular, reptilian features of Warlord Kithara, Supreme Commander of the Vorthok hegemony. His scales gleamed an angry crimson, and his vertical pupils contracted to threatening slits. Human Administrator. Kithara's voice hissed through the translator, each word dripping with contempt. You have 72 hours to evacuate this system. The Vorthok hegemony claims this sector for strategic purposes. Your species has expanded far enough. Sarah felt her heart racing, but her voice remained steady. Warlord Kithara, New Eden, is a peaceful agricultural colony. We pose no threat to your empire. Our people have built their lives here over 20 years. We cannot simply abandon our home. The alien's laugh was like grinding metal. Your attachment to dirt and rock is irrelevant. The hegemony has decided. Leave willingly or be removed by force. These are your only options. Before Sarah could respond, the transmission cut. She immediately activated the emergency protocols, sending messages to the Colonial Defense Force and Earth Command. But deep in her heart, she knew help would arrive. Too late. The nearest human military base was 6 weeks away at maximum burn. Captain Marcus Reed was conducting routine patrols in the outer system when the first Vorthok ships emerged from hyperspace. His transport vessel, the Hermes, wasn't built for combat, but its advanced sensors detected the massive fleet dropping out of FTL, 200 warships, each one dwarfing the largest human vessels, arranged themselves in a perfect sphere around New Eden. Marcus immediately opened a channel to Colony Command. Sarah, they're here. I count 200 heavy cruisers, dozens of carriers, and something massive I've never seen before. It's like a mobile fortress. Sarah's voice crackled through the static. Marcus, I need you to get out of here. Record everything. If we don't make it, someone needs to tell Earth what happened here. I'm not leaving you, Marcus replied. But Sarah had already cut the transmission. The Vorthok gave no further warnings. Kithara's flagship, a kilometer-long dreadnought called the Bone Crusher, positioned itself directly above New Eden's capital. City, the alien warlord opened a final communication channel, his message broadcast across all frequencies. Let this be a lesson to all who would challenge the hegemony's will. Your species spreads like a plague across the galaxy. Today, we administer the cure. The first barrage began at 1432 local time. Plasma cannons turned the sky into a hellscape of green fire. The colony's defensive shields, designed to deflect asteroids and space debris, crumbled under the assault in minutes. The agricultural domes shattered like glass, their contents vaporized in the alien fire. Sarah Chen stood in the command center as explosions rocked the building. Her staff had evacuated, but she remained at her post, recording everything. The black box would survive even if the building didn't. Her final transmission to Earth was simple. They came without provocation. They showed no mercy. Remember New Eden. Remember what they did to us. The command tower collapsed in a pillar of flame 3 minutes later. From his position at the edge of the system, Marcus watched in horror as the planet died. The Vorthok weren't just destroying military targets, they were systematically obliterating every sign of human life. Schools, hospitals, homes, everything that made New Eden a living world was turned to ash. The bombardment continued for 6 hours. When it finally ended, New Eden was a lifeless rock, its surface still glowing from the heat of the bombardment. 2.3 million human souls had been extinguished in a single day. Marcus waited until the Vorthok fleet departed before making his approach. The Hermes landed in what had once been the capital city, now nothing but a crater filled with radioactive glass. He activated the emergency beacon and began the long journey home, carrying the black box recordings and the weight of being the sole survivor. The journey to Earth took 3 weeks. Marcus pushed his ship beyond safe parameters, driven by the need to deliver his terrible news. When he finally arrived at Lunar Station, Admiral Elena Vasquez was waiting for him. She was a woman who had seen for decades of service, her steel-grey hair and piercing blue eyes reflecting a lifetime of difficult decisions. "Captain Reed," she said as he stepped off his ship, still wearing his radiation-stained flight suit. "I've read your preliminary reports. Tell me everything." Marcus played the recordings, Sarah's final words, the sound of children screaming as the domes collapsed, the systematic destruction of everything humanity had built on New Eden. When the recordings ended, the Admiral stood in silence for a long moment. Admiral Marcus said quietly, "What are we going to do?" Admiral Vasquez turned to face him, and Marcus saw something in her eyes that made him step back. It wasn't anger, it was something far more dangerous. It was the cold, calculating fury of a species that had just learned the price of mercy. "Captain Reed," she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority, "you're about to witness something that was never supposed to happen. For the past 50 years, while we've been playing the role of peaceful explorers, humanity has been preparing for this exact scenario. We hoped we'd never need it. We prayed we'd never have to use it." She activated her personal communicator and spoke a single phrase. "Prometheus Protocol is now active. Authorization Vasquez Alphas Van Sevan. Execute immediately." Across 300 star systems, hidden installations began powering up. On dead moons, beneath asteroid fields, in the depths of gas giants, humanity's true military might began to stir. The secret that Earth had kept for half a century was about to be revealed. The Prometheus Protocol wasn't just a military plan. It was the transformation of humanity itself. Every colony, every outpost, every seemingly peaceful research station had been built with dual purposes. The agricultural ships were troop transports. The mining stations were weapons factories. The exploration vessels were scouts for the largest military build-up in galactic history. Admiral Vasquez led Marcus to the observation deck of Lunar Station. As they watched, ships began emerging from hidden hangars throughout the solar system. Not dozens, not hundreds, but thousands. Each one bore the symbol of the Terran Defense Force, a closed fist holding a star. "How many?" Marcus whispered. 700,000 warships, Admiral Vasquez replied. "And every single one of them has been waiting for this moment. The Vorthok wanted to teach us a lesson about power. They're about to learn what happens when you awaken a sleeping giant." The first wave of ships was already departing for Vorthok space. Marcus watched as formation after formation of human vessels disappeared into hyperspace, carrying with them the promise of retribution. The age of peaceful expansion was over. The age of human dominance was about to begin. In the depths of space, the Vorthok hegemony had no idea that their casual act of genocide had just triggered the most devastating military response in Galactic history. They had destroyed a human colony, thinking it would demonstrate their power. Instead, they had signed their own death warrant. The storm was coming, and it would blot out the stars. The storm unleashed Warlord Cathara, reclined in his command throne aboard the Bone Crusher, savoring the memory of New Eden's destruction. The human colony had burned beautifully, its pitiful defenses crumbling before Vorthok's superiority. He had sent the recordings to the Hegemony Council, expecting praise for his decisive action against the expanding human plague. Instead, his communication console chimed with an urgent message from Intelligence Command. The holographic display showed Admiral Zechtel, the Hegemony's most experienced military analyst, his usually calm demeanor replaced by visible distress. Cathara Zechtel's voice trembled slightly. "We have a problem. Our deep space sensors are detecting massive hyperspace signatures throughout human space. They're not just mobilizing, they're launching something unprecedented." Cathara's vertical pupils dilated in confusion. "Impossible. Human military capacity is limited to patrol. Ships and system defense forces. Our intelligence reports confirm they have no significant fleet." "Our intelligence reports were wrong," Zechtel replied grimly. "Dead wrong. We're detecting fleet formations that shouldn't exist. Warlord, the humans have been hiding their true military strength for decades, and now they're moving toward our territory." Before Cathara could respond, his tactical officer's voice cut through the bridge. "Sir, we're detecting hyperspace disturbances at the edge of our sensor range. Multiple contacts, approaching fast." The main display activated, showing the star field beyond their position. At first, there was nothing. Then, like a swarm of angry wasps, human ships began dropping out of hyperspace. Dozens became hundreds. Hundreds became thousands. The endless stream of vessels seemed to pour from the very fabric of space itself. Admiral Elena Vasquez stood on the bridge of the TNS Prometheus, the flagship of humanity's hidden armada. The massive dreadnought was twice the size of any ship the aliens had ever seen, its hull bristling with weapons that had been perfected in secret for 50 years. Around her, the bridge crew worked with calm efficiency, their faces reflecting the same cold determination that had driven them across the galaxy. "Status report," Admiral Vasquez commanded. "All fleet formations are in position," reported her tactical officer. "We have 700,000 vessels deployed across 4 systems. The Vorthok have nowhere to run." Marcus Reed, now wearing the uniform of a Terran fleet captain, stood beside the Admiral. His transport had been replaced by the TFS Retribution, a heavy cruiser designed specifically for this moment. "Admiral, we're receiving surrender requests from 17 Vorthok outposts. They're offering to negotiate." Negotiations ended when they murdered 2.3 million innocent civilians. Admiral Vasquez replied without emotion. "Begin the cleansing." The systematic destruction of the Vorthok hegemony began with surgical precision. Human fleets appeared simultaneously at every major Vorthok installation, their overwhelming numbers making resistance impossible. The aliens' proud warships, which had seemed so mighty above New Eden, were reduced to floating debris in minutes. But this wasn't random destruction. Every target was chosen for maximum strategic impact. Communication relays were severed first, isolating Vorthok forces from their command structure. Then came the supply lines, the manufacturing centers, the training facilities. Humanity had studied their enemy for decades, learning every weakness, every vulnerability. On the bridge of the Bone Crusher, Cathara watched his empire crumble on the tactical display. Red indicators marked the loss of installation after installation. His own fleet, once the pride of the hegemony, was surrounded by human vessels that had appeared from nowhere. "Sir," his communication officer reported, voice shaking, "we're receiving a transmission from the human flagship. They're requesting your surrender." Cathara's scales flushed an angry purple. "I do not surrender to inferior species. Target their flagship. Fire everything we have." The Bone Crusher's weapons systems unleashed their full fury against the Prometheus. Plasma cannons that had turned New Eden to glass struck the human dreadnoughts' shields, creating brilliant explosions of light. For a moment, Cathara allowed himself to hope that human technology would prove inferior to Vorthok engineering. The hope died as the explosions faded. The Prometheus emerged from the barrage completely unscathed, its shields having absorbed the entire attack without strain. The human ship hadn't even bothered to return fire. Admiral Vasquez opened a communication channel to the Vorthok flagship. When her image appeared on Cathara's screen, the alien warlord felt something he had never experienced before: true fear. "Warlord Cathara," she said, her voice carrying the weight of absolute authority, "you destroyed a peaceful colony. You murdered innocent families. You thought you were teaching humanity a lesson about power. Instead, you've learned what happens when you threaten our people." The human fleet began to move in perfect coordination, their formations tightening around the remaining Vorthok ships. Cathara realized he was witnessing something unprecedented, a military force that had been planned and prepared for decades, waiting for exactly this moment. "Your empire is finished," Admiral Vasquez continued. "Your fleets are destroyed. Your worlds are surrounded. You have one chance to avoid the complete extinction of your species. Surrender now and face judgment for your crimes. Continue to resist and join New Eden in death." The siege of Vorthok Prime began 3 days later. The hegemony's homeworld, a massive planet covered in sprawling cities and military installations, had never seen an enemy fleet in orbit. Now, human warships surrounded the world in concentric rings, their numbers so vast they blocked out the stars. Captain Marcus Reed commanded one of the siege groups, his ship positioned directly above the capital city where the Hegemony Council cowered in their underground bunkers. The irony wasn't lost on him. The aliens who had bombarded New Eden from orbit now faced the same fate they had inflicted on innocent humans. "Captain," his tactical officer reported, "we're receiving a transmission from the planetary government. They're requesting terms for surrender." Marcus opened the channel. The holographic display showed Chancellor Voctor, the leader of the Hegemony Council, his proud bearing replaced by obvious terror. Human Commander Voctor's voice trembled. "We are prepared to discuss terms. The Hegemony acknowledges that mistakes were made regarding the New Eden incident. We are willing to pay compensation. Marcus's voice cut through the alien's words like a blade. "You think you can pay for 2.3 million lives? You think credits can bring back the children you murdered?" The channel switched to Admiral Vasquez, her image appearing on every screen across Vorthok Prime. When she spoke, her words were broadcast to the entire planet. "Citizens of the Vorthok Hegemony," she began, "your government committed genocide against innocent human civilians. They destroyed a peaceful colony without provocation. They believed they could exterminate humans without consequence. They were wrong. Around the planet, the human fleet began to move into bombardment positions. The message was clear that aliens now faced the same choice they had given New Eden: Surrender or die. However, Admiral Vasquez continued, humanity is not like your leaders. We do not wage war against innocents. Your military will be dismantled. Your government will face justice. But your people will live under human protection in a galaxy where genocide is no longer tolerated. The surrender came within hours. The Vorthok military laid down their weapons, their proud empire reduced to a protected territory under human administration. Chancellor Voctor and his council were taken into custody to face trial for crimes against humanity. But the transformation didn't end with the Vorthok. News of humanity's hidden military might spread throughout the galaxy like wildfire. Species that had ignored or dismissed humans now sent desperate diplomatic missions to Earth. The Galactic Federation, which had previously denied humanity membership, suddenly voted to offer them a permanent seat on the Security Council. Admiral Vasquez stood once again on the observation deck of Luna Station, but now she gazed out at a very different galaxy. Human patrol fleets moved through space lanes that had once been dangerous, their presence ensuring that no other species would dare repeat the Vorthok's mistake. Marcus Reed approached, now wearing the insignia of a sector admiral. The memorial on New Eden is complete, he reported. 2.3 million names, carved in stone that will last 10,000 years. Good, Admiral Vasquez replied. And the new colonies? 12 new worlds have requested human protection. The Andromedan Collective wants to discuss a mutual defense pact. Even the Zeltron Empire is asking for trade agreements. Admiral Vasquez nodded slowly. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson about the price of threatening humanity. The peaceful explorers were gone, replaced by protectors who would ensure that no innocent civilization would ever again face the fate of New Eden. In the depths of space, 700,000 human warships continued their eternal patrol, a reminder to all who might be tempted by thoughts of genocide. The stars themselves seemed dimmer, overshadowed by the presence of humanity's true power.